on a Friday night in Jupiter. Certainly glad to have you back. Day 2. It's about 6 o'clock Eastern time on another beautiful day. Cool. I mean, very cool down here in Jupiter. And David Ronsley joining us, Perfect Games Vice President of Player Personnel. My name is Darren Sutton. And David, we all know as baseball fans, there's nothing more exciting than the walk-off win. In the big leagues, in college baseball, in Little League baseball, in high school, and especially when some of the best prospects and the best travel teams from the United States and beyond are assembled at a tournament, you have not just one, but 3 walk-off wins to talk about.
Yeah, on this quad, Darren, this morning at the 8 o'clock games right away, we were reminded of the competitiveness here because we had, on the 4 fields here, we had 3 walk-offs, one of them the best kind. 1-1, bottom of the 7th, 2 runners on. Ethan Skender for Reds Midwest Scout Team blasted a 3-run bomb, walk-off 4-1 win for Red Scout Team. And, you know, we've talked about Red Scout Team. They seem to be a constant theme on this, but they had another great day today.
And I know there was drawn in infields. There were more unique walk-off wins that caught your eye.
Yeah. Hunter Hearn for the Houston Heat did it a more conventional way, bases loaded, so, you know, game situation, ground ball single up the middle, you know, still pretty happy walk-off win for the Houston Heat. And then the weird one, Baseball U and St. Louis Gamers tied 2-2, bases loaded, 1 out. Baseball U brings in the 5-man infield. What did you call that?
The Socia infield, because that's when I saw it the first time.
Okay, the Mike Socia infield. That was kind of when the walk-off was on an infield error, but 3-2 victory for the St. Louis Gamers. So just a lot of quality action and happy fans and very upset fans as well and players.
Yeah, you have family, friends. You found scouts getting into it, certainly the supporters, the partners, gathering around fields and cheering. You mentioned Skinder earlier. I know he's on a list for you of guys that really jumped out with bats in their hands.
Yeah, Ethan Skender being one of them, and he's been a fixture at Perfect Game events, especially in the upper Midwest, you know, the Colonel's Tournament and everything. And every event Ethan Skender hits at. He's a Kansas State commit, you know, versatile player, some shortstop, some outfield probably in the future, but just a guy who hits at every event. And there's some others like that in the tournament that you go to the field and you say, I want to see this guy hit. You know, Joe Davis for the Houston Banditos, and he's just an outstanding hitter. You know, hasn't found a position really, sort of a Billy Butler type. We've talked about him before. We might talk about him again. Jason Heinrich with FTB Chandler, you know, big first baseman, 6'2", 210, immensely strong right-handed hitter. He had a triple and a home run in their first game yesterday. Spencer Steer, one of my favorites, GBG Marucci, you know, third baseman, 5'10", 175 pounds, 2016. He just hits and hits and hits. He was 3 for 3 today, 2 runs scored, a double, an RBI. And these guys impact the game with their bats. They're still finding their positions. They're not the 6'5" runners, but they are great hitters.
Steer, by the way, is an Oregon commit. Now, the Dallas Mustangs, you have found a way to compare a Dallas Mustang to a Milwaukee Brewer. How so?
Well, Antonio Santalin with the Dallas Mustangs is one of the unknown talents here before this event. I think people knew about him, but they really hadn't seen him play much. And he's a two-way prospect, 6'3", 195 pounds, excuse me. You know, very good shortstop. I mean, he's a college-level shortstop, if not a draftable shortstop, but he's special on the mound. He threw 1 inning in relief yesterday, was 91-94, heavy sink, power curveball up to 83 miles an hour. And there was a pitcher here. You talked a little history yesterday. 2003, Giovanni Gallardo, now with the Milwaukee Brewers, who came here as a two-way guy, you know, Mexican background, played the shortstop, came in, was the most valuable pitcher of the whole events, pitching for the Dallas Tigers. And the similarity between Gallardo and Santalin is incredible. The whole background, the physicality, the talent, and that's a very good thing for the young man for the Dallas Mustangs there, to be compared like that.
All-American Juan Hillman, you and I, you've been watching him for years. I've been watching him for quite some time as well. How'd he do?
Juan Hillman faced 6 hitters yesterday in 2 innings. It's sort of a warm-up. You know, he expects to pitch on Sunday or Monday, even if FTB does well. Faced 6 hitters, struck out all 6 on 23 pitches. Now, I don't know what the record is for 6 straight strikeouts, but 23 is well above average, I bet. It was a great performance. He threw every pitch where he wanted to, lots of life, mixed his pitches, dominant performance. performance.
And there's a handful more that I at least want you to touch on. Oklahoma commit Austin Hansen, Georgia commit Dakota Chalmers, Javier Medina. That's the trio that were added into the two you've already talked about.
Well, Austin Hansen for Sandlot Baseball faced up against Elite Squad last night. And Elite Squad's one of the best teams in the country. You know, they've won major tournaments and just the whole lineup of D1 and professional players. And Hansen goes out 5 innings, allowed 1 hit, 1 walk, 11 strikeouts, completely dominated, 88-91, touch 92, power slider, changeup, mixed everything, and hit spots at the bottom of the zone, and just completely dominated and led Sandlot to a victory.
And Hansen wasn't alone, as we talked about. What did you see in Dakota Chalmers, young man out of Gainesville, Georgia?
Well, Dakota Chalmers, 6'3", 175 pounds, so there's a lot of projection. Threw 3 innings for the Evo Shield Canes, up to 95, but just not the velocity. He threw a slider for strikes. He threw a curveball for strikes. He dropped in a couple changeups, and he's a young man who's really improved. And we've talked about the Evo Shield Canes pitchers, you know, Bo Burrows and Ash Russell. This is a third high-level ace that's developed because he has really improved since the summer.
And Medina?
And Medina's my favorite. You know, we talk about velocity a lot. Javier Medina from Arizona pitches for GBG Marucci. He does it with the feel. I think he threw 6 different pitches today. The 2-seamer, the 4-seamer, 87 to 90. He has the best. He may have the best changeup here. It's awesome. It's 78 to 82. Outstanding sink on it. Outstanding command. Throws a curveball. Throws a cutter. Throws a slider. Throws them all for strikes. Through 6 innings in a GBG win today, and very impressive. And it gets off that velocity emphasis that we always have. And it was just fun to see the young man pitch.
This is a team event, and so you have a team. You like to talk about a team of the day here with our Day 2 wrap. We talked about hitters, talked about pitchers, walk-off wins. What team is the most fun for you to talk about?
Well, we do a lot of talking about this up in the tower and stuff, and you know, Perfect Game puts together their own teams of players from around the country who deserve to compete in this but don't have a home team to be in, and we put them with teams and we give them a manager. PG White, we mentioned him yesterday because they got no hit by the Dirtbags and won 1-0. Today they go out against Puerto Rico, Team Mizuno from Puerto Rico, win 8-0 on a run rule, so they're 2-0. Haven't allowed a run yet in front of their pool, and just wanted to call out Jimmy Zellman, their manager, for doing a great job and wish him luck the rest of the tournament.
All right, so going back then, what was it, 05, 06, there was a young man by the name of Josh Smoker. What was the club that he pitched for?
East Cobb Astros, or East Cobb Baseball.
Okay, so East Cobb Baseball. What do you remember about him?
Well, that was the golden era of East Cobb. They had the best pitching staffs we've probably ever seen at this level. You know, multiple first-round picks. They would go through tournaments and allow 1 or 2 runs in a 7-8 game tournament, and it was a pitching, defense, speed sort of thing. It's like the Kansas City Royals. And Smoker was their lead guy. I believe he was the MVP of this event twice. A left-handed pitcher with impeccable control, very good stuff, and a guy we thought was going to be a big-time pro, and he was a first-round pick of the Washington Nationals, I believe.
Okay, so here's where I got to do some scouting. David does all of this. He has his staff. He's got all the wisdom. Now, I can't tell you if it's really on point, but Smoker, in the Nationals organization, battled through a couple of surgeries, is out of the Nationals organization now, played independent league baseball this past year, got back with you guys with Perfect Game and said, "May I throw? I feel strong." The scouts gathered behind. You're going to see video of this certainly throughout this piece. They gathered behind. He was 92, 93. He's still 25 years old. So quickly, the scouts' mind, while we wrap this up, you probably get a chance with that, right?
I would hope so. He's left-handed. He has a track record of success. He's healthy. That's the most important thing. You know, he's been up to AA, and again, he's left-handed. Left-handers with good stuff get chances, and it would be a great story if Josh Smoker could come off the injuries, come out of independent ball, get a job going into spring training, and run with it, and we see him in the big leagues next year or the year after.
Keep an eye on the transaction wire, folks. Who gets him first? David Ronsley, Darren Sutton, a great Day 2 here in Jupiter.